So what do you love about your role?
What I love about my role is really at the end of the day, it's about how whoever or how you could be the best salesman.
Hmm.
Really, it comes down to that. You got to be able to sell your company, the brand. You got to be able to sell the culture. And then you also got to be able to have the benefits to sell that to that person. It's kind of like you're really fighting for that candidate and that candidate experience at that point.
Okay. And so what kind of positions are you filling? Yeah, what kind of roles do you fill?
Yeah, so I fill all different indirect and direct roles here at Marvin. So from engineering to production, quality, I've helped do continuous engineering, all different types of that, operations, you name it, internal, external, anything that is needed for the role.
Okay. So you do those operations ones. They're tough ones to fill.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're tough ones. So they're definitely challenging. So what have you? We talked a little bit about COVID and all. Well, first of all, let me ask you about the industry. So you've been more or less within the building materials industry, even when you were at Plant Partners. I mean, what do you like about this industry versus other types of
I really like this industry because, it's a product like, and I think like products of the building industry, it's ways to make people's life better. Like we
industry?
figured that out in COVID, what did everybody do? They wanted to be outside or they wanted to, you know, redo their house, redo their backyard. I feel like it made people introspective to learn to love like where they live, learn the outdoors and things like that.
Okay. No, it's a great industry, great relationships, great personality, great people involved in it. So it's a very unique role. I've been in it for a number of years. I used to work for a manufacturer prior to doing this, so it's definitely a fun industry. It really is.
Mhm.
So we talked about some shifts and some changes and things like that since COVID. So what have you seen as far as changes in the candidates, changes in what people are looking for, what they're not looking for in the past 1 to 3 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So the ever changes, it was like when COVID hit, more people are going into wanting to build houses, different things, build
Mhm.
industry started booming. So backlog started getting up. So all you needed to staff the plant, not only was production increasing, you had to increase everything else. So really trying to actually settle down and focus on what would keep the CEO up at night as far as physicians, really focus on, okay, what can we teach them? You know, let's hire for character. Let's really try to hire for character. A lot of this we can teach them the skill and things like that, but we really need to look into the character here after COVID because it really kind of showed who was really willing to get out there and work through the COVID changes and different things like that, and who wanted to really show up and actually work through the world ever changing.
Okay. Are you seeing any changes in candidates as far as what they're asking for, what they would rather have versus not have after COVID?
Yes, absolutely. So pay was a big factor, and also sign-on bonuses. So,
Oh, really?
everybody was marketing a lot of sign-on bonuses,
Mhm.
especially here in Roanoke. So, you try to see who would have the most sign-on bonus and different things like that. Referrals bonus, this was really a big thing. And then they were kind of looking for a better schedule. So
Mhm.
after, I guess, with them being at home and different things like that, I think they got closer to their family or just, kind of in that mindset that they want to be more flexible within their schedule for sure.
Yeah, and I see the same thing on my end. Definitely more flexible, less hours,
Hmm.
more virtual. I know a lot
Hmm.
of positions you're filling, they're factory positions that can't be virtual. But
Hmm.
I'm even having on sales, and we do a lot of sales positions. People are saying, "Oh, I can work virtual." But not being a salesperson, you can't.
Hmm.
You
Oh
can't you
yeah.
can't sell virtually. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's amazing what COVID has done to
Hmm.
some of the people. Yeah. So it's definitely challenging. So being that said, so what's worked and what's not worked for you as far as getting over those hurdles, over those challenges, as far as signing bonuses and hours and things like that. What have you been able to do about
Yeah, so what we were able to do is we kind of made a schedule. You know, we include their two paid breaks as well, so they don't have to stay the extra 30 minutes or hour after work. I mean, they are, it's the day goes by faster for them. And then we also create a schedule where they could come in like it's an A and B schedule. So they could start, 30 minutes to an hour earlier, if willing. It kind of help with the kid commitment of the daycares and things like that. And then you just have some people that's like, I'm going to be more productive in the mornings. I want to have my evenings, different things like
Mhm.
that. So,
Okay.
and then less overtime, of course, as
Oh,
well
really?
when we
So people
could.
aren't, people are okay with that less overtime? If they're okay.
People are very okay with less overtime for sure. But we really had to worry about where our backlog was because
Sure.
didn't want our lead time to be too far out. So right now we've got it back down to 4 week lead time. So that's the good part of that.
Okay. Okay. And so, and that's ongoing. So nothing, you're not reverting back to the way it used to be. This is the new, this is the way, the new direction you're heading.
Yeah, this is a new direction. And then we also started offering like wellness reimbursements. So we say, okay, you have $300 to spend. Maybe it'd help you with the gym, different things to
Okay.
kind of just get people more active outside and different things like that outside
That
of
makes
work.
no sense. Makes no sense. Okay. So you yourself within your role and within Marvin, what's your number one goal that you want to accomplish over the next, several years?
Yeah. So the next several years, I'm looking to kind of take my PMP and kind of get more into the project management role in talent acquisition. I think a lot of it is strategic planning when it comes to talent role in the company. And I want to continue benchmarking, like, the no call, no shows, the turnover, time to fill metrics as well. And I'm hoping, I use the predictive index, behavioral predictive index, and I'm hoping to use that to kind of keep benchmarking different behaviors that we see and keep looking for exact measures that will help, reduce turnover and different
Okay.
things. And
So do you work with people pretty closely with people in corporate
yes,
to do these things? Okay.
yeah, we sure do. So we go through, we have people analytics. They run a lot of different things for us and help us with our metrics. And we try to really keep a good eye on our time to fill metrics because that's just very important for the candidate experience. Because nowadays, your good candidates aren't going to waste any time when
Right.
trying to get their next role.
Sure. Okay. Um, so if you had to give a piece of advice to somebody who wants to get into talent acquisition, somebody who wants to get into this crazy world and wants to come and attract and retain, attract talent, what would that advice be?
Yeah, well, my advice would be get out there and get in a role where you can learn a lot about relationship building. Get out there, get yourself familiar, be very sociable, get out there, network, get out there. And basically, you need to really learn the job that they're doing
Mhm.
and learn it really well, learn what your hiring managers want. And you got to start from somewhere. You get out there, you got to learn. And no talent acquisition person's ever going to have 100% perfect hires.
Mhm.
But you got to learn from, okay, where did I go wrong with this hire? So you really just need to learn what metrics you can use to help with data.
Any other advice as far as somebody wanting to get into it, or tell them to stay away from it, or any other?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would tell them, don't be scared from a challenge.
Mhm.
You're gonna have a lot of pressure. It's gonna be a lot of pressure, and sometimes the hiring managers are gonna want the candidate tomorrow.
Right, right.
But don't always get in that rush. Make sure you can take your time to source and go through and talk to the right candidate. And I will also say, don't be scared to say no. If you're scared to say no, don't get in talent acquisition because a lot of times we are those people that have to facilitate the problems
Yep,
within, and we have to learn how to say no.
absolutely. Okay. Now, so as far as talent, I mean, how do you find your talent? Are you using the Indeed and all the Zip, ZipRecruiter, all that stuff? I mean, how do you find your talent?
Yeah, so depending on if it's direct or indirect, very different in ways I source because things that work for indirect don't work for direct,
Hmm.
such as LinkedIn doesn't really work for direct production roles. But what a tactic that we have used that has worked really well is we use geofencing. So different plants in the Roanoke area, we're able to geofence them. They'll be on lunch break. They might want to get on their phone and look at Facebook. Our ad's going to show up.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily have to apply, but they can kind of say, well, I might be interested. I'll put my information in there. Then I get their information and I can kind of contact them and do a persuasion. So that's how I get the passive talent.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, and I get a lot of employee referrals. A lot of people talk, really great about Marvin here.
Hmm.
But I have to keep it to that standard, you know, that you'll have good and bad referrals.
Sure.
And then also Indeed is very big. We run, sponsored on Indeed here in Roanoke and a lot of Facebook ads, different ways we see. We've done billboards in the past. Um, it just kind of depends. We kind of have to see, look at the metrics and say, okay, we got this many applicants from Indeed. We got this amount from, geofencing, different things
Right.
like that.
Right. And so I guess, and you have an ATS, like tracking system that you're using
Mhm.
to, okay, good, and do all that. So yeah, because especially in that world, I've done some recruiting in plant people and everything. That it's tough, just to keep track of, and people move around from state to state. It's
Yeah,
definitely an interesting side
definitely. And
of
your
recruiting, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and your applicant tracking system definitely matters because,
Yeah,
if it's not, you know, very complex enough for you, it makes it kind of harder on you.
sure. No, no, absolutely. And so it's what it's all about. It's what it's all about.